From Stunner Girl getting the FBI on her at age 14 after escaping across state lines.
Remember, I got on that plane, that's 24 hours later, I was in Colorado and I was on my way back to SAG. So now I'm on the run.
To JT watching her career blow up while locked in federal prison for credit card fraud.
I didn't really go outside that much. I didn't really want to talk to people that much. Cause we had a big, there was like a breakout moment, so a lot of people would be like, that is her, that is her.
In this video, we're breaking down 14 female rappers who met their ultimate end in the courtroom. Let's start with Lil' Kim. Yo, let's start this shit off with the coldest story of them all. How the queen bee herself, Lil' Kim, got trapped off by the federal government over some street loyalty shit that cost her everything. Kimberly Denise Jones was sitting pretty at the top of the game, being the second best-selling female rapper with 45 million records moved worldwide. Her debut joint Hardcore had the whole game shook, and Shorty was untouchable in these streets. But in 2005, all that fly shit came crashing down when she learned that federal prosecutors don't give a fuck about your street cred. Now check this wild shit out. Kim was rolling out of Hot 97 on March 19, 2001, when her peoples got into some serious gunplay with them Capone and Noriega niggas. We talking about over 20 shots fired in broad daylight, bodies getting hit, the whole nine. Kim was there, but she wasn't the one squeezing. That's what made this whole situation even more fucked up.
What was that experience like? Didn't you befriend her?
Yeah, that's my sis. It was fun. You know, what I think it was with Kim was the fact that I'm gonna be me no matter who you are.
Here's where Kim fucked up her whole bag. Real talk. When them alphabet boys came through asking questions about who was busting, Kim decided to play dumb and tell them she ain't know nobody. Couldn't identify nobody in photos. The whole amnesia act. They hit her with 3 counts of perjury and 1 conspiracy charge for lying to that grand jury. Basically for trying to protect her people. What makes this situation even more heartbreaking is getting the inside scoop on how Kim was moving behind the wall. This first-hand account from her cellmate shows you that even the queen bee was feeling the pressure when shit got real. The feds came with all that evidence, surveillance footage, pictures, the whole forensic package that proved Kim was lying her ass off. The irony of this whole shit is devastating, fam. Kim was facing 20 years federal time for something she didn't even do. If Shorty had just told the truth about her crew's involvement, she could have walked away clean. Kim chose to ride for her people and it cost her everything. They sentenced her to 1 year and a day, hit her with a $50,000 fine, and 3 years supervised release. The woman who had been spitting bars about being the baddest bitch alive was now another number in the federal system.
And I remember in 2007, the day I wrote her, I was like, damn, you ain't never lied. I can't even be mad. Because I remember her sitting there and she was like, oh, I used to feel that way about Big.
This shows the deeper emotional cost. Kim was giving game to younger women even while she was locked up, showing them how to navigate love and loyalty. Kim ended up serving 10 months in federal prison, watching her empire crumble while she was in a cage. The streets might respect that no snitching code, but federal prosecutors got their own rules, and street loyalty don't mean shit when you lying to grand juries. What makes Kim's story the realest cautionary tale is that she had no serious criminal history before this. This wasn't some repeat offender. This was an artist whose loyalty to her crew got her hemmed up by the feds. The game taught her to never snitch, but nobody taught her that lying to federal investigators is a whole different type of snitching on yourself. If Kim's fall was about loyalty, Remy's was about letting rage pull the trigger. Remy, Meg, reminisce. Keone Mackie was one of the most respected female spitters in the game, known for that raw Bronx delivery and bars that could body any nigga or bitch who wanted smoke. Shorty was collecting BET awards like Pokemon cards and had the whole industry respecting her pen game. But one night in 2007, all that respect turned into a state bid that had her trading the studio booth for a prison cell. The night that fucked up Remy's whole life started like any other. She was out in Manhattan living that rap star lifestyle, probably thinking she was untouchable. But when Shorty peeped that $3,000 was missing from her purse and suspected her so-called friend Makita Barnes Joseph of stealing it, that's when that Bronx street shit kicked in and common sense went out the window. According to the testimony that sent her upstate, Remy and Makita got into it verbally first, then shit got physical. And before you know it, Remy had put a hole in Shorty's stomach. Now this wasn't no warning shot or no accidental discharge. This was a deliberate attempt to hurt somebody over some money. And the law don't play that shit regardless of who you are.
How has prison been treating you?
Not as bad as it was when I first got here. It was really crazy. These, not really the inmates, it was more so the officers was real crazy. And it calmed down a bit. Sometimes they get Remy seasoned out for a minute and just going hard on me. But
The way the system processed Remy shows you how they treat celebrities behind them walls. They arrested her ass immediately after the shooting, and despite her legal team trying to spin some accidental discharge bullshit, that Manhattan jury wasn't buying none of that. In 2008, they found her guilty of assault, illegal weapon possession, and attempted coercion. The sentence was some devastating shit, 8 years in state prison. The woman who used to rap about being on top of the world was now facing damn near a decade behind bars. But the realest insight into how prison be with your head comes from Remy herself.
What do you mean by
Everybody's
harder?
got an
What do you mean by that? Putting you in a
Like-
separate cell, not giving
Like-
you chicken palm, heroes, what? Talk to me.
Nah, not really. I mean, you got some, like, everybody's, it took me a while to realize that everybody's not. When I came here, I was like, I hate them all. The police, I fuck this bitch.
This raw honesty shows you how that initial anger and resentment can eat you alive when reality hits. The COs wasn't playing no games with her celebrity status either.
I think when I first got here, they wanted to show everybody that I'm not different from anybody else.
Make an example out of you,
But
basically.
in all actuality, by trying to prove that I was the same as everybody else, they was going harder on me than everybody else.
They was trying to strip away all that rap star persona and reduce her to just another inmate number. Even at her lowest point, you could see what really mattered to Remy.
But what's the one thing you miss the most?
The most,
Top 3. You don't have to name one, you can name a few.
just my son and my family and just chilling.
Papoose.
Yeah.
Dunga.
Family was still her priority, showing that underneath all that tough rapper shit, she was still human. Remy did 6 years before they let her out on parole in 2014, but the rap game had moved on. New queens had taken her spot, and the woman who used to be mentioned with the legends now had to rebuild from scratch with a violent felony on her record. But Remy's legal troubles ain't stopped there. In 2019, they locked her up again for allegedly punching some love and hip-hop chick, proving that some people just can't learn. And in 2025, she got hemmed up again during her son's murder trial for getting into it with the victim's daughter. Remy Ma's story is the perfect example of how letting your emotions control your actions can destroy everything you worked for. $3,000 cost her almost a decade of her life, her career momentum, and her freedom. That's some expensive revenge right there. If Remy's downfall was fast and fiery, the next one's was a long, messy crash you could see coming from miles away. Foxy Brown. When we talking about female rappers who systematically destroyed their own careers through repeated and an inability to control their temper, we gotta examine the tragic case of Foxy Brown, the Brooklyn queen who went from being the second female rapper with a #1 album debut to a cautionary tale about what happens when you can't evolve past street mentality. Inga DiCarlo Fung Marchand had the whole game in her palm. Her raunchy bars and seductive flow had influenced mad artists including Nicki Minaj, and her debut Il Na Na had shifted hip-hop with that R&B fusion sound. But underneath all that fly, shit was somebody who couldn't walk away from drama, and that character flaw eventually consumed everything she built. Foxy's legal troubles wasn't no one-time situation. Nah, this was a slow burn of repeated that painted a picture of somebody who just couldn't adapt to civilian life. The main case that fucked her up started in 2004 when she got into some ratchet shit at a Manhattan nail salon with 2 manicurists over some unpaid bills. The assault involved her kicking and slapping these working women, and while that might sound minor compared to shootings and major fraud, it was the beginning of a legal avalanche. Foxy pleaded guilty to that 2004 assault and got 3 years probation, basically a slap on the wrist that should have been a wake-up call. Instead, it became the foundation for a series of violations that showed she had zero respect for the system. But the violation that really sealed her fate was some next-level ratchet shit. In 2007, Foxy got charged with assaulting a neighbor with a BlackBerry, which they classified as weapon possession. Think about that wild shit for a minute. A BlackBerry, the symbol of early 2000s success, became a weapon in the hands of somebody whose impulse control was completely gone.
There was some controversy that ended up in TMZ about we talked about it initially, but
Right.
allegations that you said some nasty things about Jay and back in the day, and you know what I'm saying, like, you know.
No, tell the story.
She had also violated probation by leaving the state without permission, which had them issuing bench warrants. This was somebody who was determined to make her situation worse through pure stubbornness and inability to follow simple rules. The 2007 probation violation trial was where Foxy's legal house of cards finally collapsed completely. They sentenced her to 1 year and she served 8 months, but the damage to her reputation was beyond repair. Here was an artist who had collaborated with Jay-Z, who had helped define an era of hip-hop, now reduced to headlines about BlackBerry assault assaults and beauty supply store incidents. What makes Foxy's story particularly tragic is how it shows the intersection of street mentality and legal consequences. Her pattern included multiple assaults on women, suggesting she was using violence as her default problem-solving method, a strategy that might work in certain hood situations but is catastrophic when applied under legal scrutiny. The most devastating aspect of Foxy's downfall is how it affected her relationship with the hip-hop community that had once embraced her. Her repeated legal troubles coincided with hearing loss issues, creating a perfect storm that left her isolated from the very industry she had helped shape. Recent years have seen Foxy making cryptic social media posts, especially when controversies involving Jay-Z surface, with fans speculating about NDAs and past relationships. But these whispers only highlight how far she's fallen from her peak, reduced to internet speculation rather than chart domination. If Foxy's collapse was a slow, steady spiral, the next one was a sudden, violent hit that changed her life in an instant. Da Brat. The story of Da Brat represents one of the most heartbreaking falls from grace in hip-hop history, made even more tragic because Shorty was the first solo female rapper to go platinum with her album Functified. Shantae Harris had that unique swag that blended hip-hop with fashion innovation. She had Grammy nominations under her belt, and her comedic features had made her a beloved figure in the culture. But on Halloween night 2007, all that success got flushed down the drain in a moment of violence that revealed some dangerous tendencies lurking beneath her playful public image. The incident that destroyed Da Brat's whole world went down at Studio 72 in Atlanta, where she was supposed to be having another successful night out living that rap star life. The victim was Shayla Stevens, a former Atlanta Falcons cheerleader who was working as a waitress. What started as some verbal beef escalated when Da Brat grabbed a rum bottle and used it as a weapon, leaving permanent scars on Shorty's face. The brutality of this attack was shocking even by hip-hop violence standards. This wasn't no heat of the moment scuffle or defensive move. This was a deliberate assault with a weapon that left permanent damage on another human being. They hit her with aggravated assault charges, and the legal consequences proved to be just as devastating as the physical ones.
Just chilling, about to drop a mixtape called Life After Death. About a week or so, you know what I'm saying? Stupid. I'm blessed to be back doing my thing.
So what was it like being in there for them 2 years?
Shit, my life died as I knew it. You know what I'm saying? My life died as I knew it being locked up. But I made the best of it. I was definitely a boss.
In 2008, Da Brat took a plea deal for aggravated assault and got hit with 3 years in the pen plus 7 years probation. For somebody who had been living that high-life rap star existence, the transition to county jail was a rude awakening.
What was the food like?
Huh?
What was the food like?
The food was I ain't had no fresh vegetables. The only good thing about the food was when they had like chicken on the bone is what they call it, like real chicken. That other that Salisbury steak and that meatloaf and shit, that shit was called mystery meat.
The physical hardships of doing time were just the beginning, though. Da Brat served 21 months before they released her, but her legal troubles were far from over. In 2009, Stevens came for her pockets with a civil lawsuit, and in 2014, a jury found Da Brat liable for $6.4 million in damages. That $6.4 million judgment was particularly devastating because it revealed this wasn't no isolated incident. Court records showed Da Brat had a pattern of violent behavior toward women, including a 2000 pistol whipping incident. This wasn't just poor judgment, it was part of a dangerous pattern that the legal system was finally addressing.
I've been trying to get back to prison or to any type of facility where women are incarcerated to talk to them to see if I could like motivate them or help them in any way or just make them feel better and inspire them to know that they don't have to keep making the same dumb mistakes.
After her release, Da Brat tried to flip her experience into something positive, going back to correctional facilities to drop game on other women who might be making similar mistakes.
And how long were you locked up?
2.5.
So you really know.
I really know. Man, it feels crazy because I got out in 2011, February 28th, so it's been some years, so I've never walked in the front door.
The financial impact went beyond the civil judgment too. Da Brat ended up filing for bankruptcy, showing how the combination of legal fees, damages, and lost income had destroyed the wealth she had accumulated during her peak years. The woman who had been hip-hop royalty was now struggling with basic financial survival. What makes Da Brat's story particularly tragic is how it continues to affect her family relationships. Her beef with her sister Lisa Ray has played out publicly, showing how legal troubles can fracture personal relationships and create lasting damage that extends far beyond the courtroom. While Da Brat fell in a violent club fight, Lauren's downfall came in court over millions in unpaid taxes. Lauryn Hill. Of all the wild stories we're breaking down today, perhaps none is more heartbreaking than the downfall of Lauryn Hill, an artist whose genius was so profound that her legal troubles feel like a cosmic injustice against hip-hop culture itself. Lauryn had pioneered that melodic rap style, blending singing and spitting in ways that influenced a whole generation of artists. Her album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, went diamond, and she collected 8 Grammy Awards, putting her in conversations as one of the greatest to ever touch a microphone. But in 2013, this musical icon found herself in federal court, not for violence or street shit, but for the most basic crime, not paying her taxes. The charges against Lauryn were as straightforward as they were devastating. She failed to pay over $1.8 million in federal taxes on income she earned between 2005 and 2009. This wasn't some complex fraud scheme or violent crime. It was simply a brilliant artist who had somehow lost track of her obligations to Uncle Sam. What makes Lauryn's case particularly fascinating is how it shows what happens when artistic genius collides with legal requirements. She got indicted in 2012, and they kept delaying her sentencing to give her time to pay some of that money back. Unlike the violent crimes that characterize other stories on our list, this was a case where the defendant's intent and character became central issues. In 2013, Lauryn pleaded guilty to the tax evasion charges and got sentenced to 3 months in federal prison, followed by 3 months house arrest and 1 year supervised probation. The image of one of hip-hop's greatest artists getting led away in handcuffs was a sobering reminder that artistic genius doesn't grant immunity from legal consequences. But Lauryn's legal troubles were just the tip of an iceberg of controversy that had been building for years. She had become notorious for showing up mad late to concerts, sometimes hours late, or canceling shows completely. Her lateness at the 2025 Essence Fest was particularly disrespectful. The show ended at 3:37 a.m. to a nearly empty stadium, representing a level of disrespect toward fans that was borderline professional suicide. The pattern of erratic behavior extended to her relationships within the hip-hop community. In 2024, Fugees member Pras sued her for fraud over tour issues, though these remained civil rather than criminal charges. Pras had expressed his frustrations through a diss track amid tour cancellations, showing how her professional unreliability had destroyed even her most important creative partnerships. The tax evasion case also highlighted broader questions about how the music industry handles financial obligations for its artists. Reports surfaced about her mistreatment of musicians and other professionals, suggesting that her legal troubles were part of a larger pattern of professional irresponsibility. What makes Lauryn's story particularly tragic is how it intersected with conspiracy theories and speculation about her mental state. There were persistent rumors about being brainwashed and claims that a spiritual advisor was acting like a cult leader. Her controversial Vatican comments were allegedly influenced by this advisor, adding another layer of complexity to an already tragic situation. The 3 months Lauryn spent in federal prison were a stark contrast to the luxury and adoration she had known at the height of her career. Prison is a great equalizer, and even someone of Lauryn's artistic stature found herself subject to the same rules and routines as any other federal inmate. Since her release, Lauryn has continued to struggle with the basic professional requirements that most artists take for granted. Her pattern of lateness and cancellations has become so notorious that it's overshadowed her artistic legacy, turning one of hip-hop's greatest voices into a punchline about unprofessionalism. While Lauryn Hill's time came from unpaid taxes, the next rappers came from credit card fraud. JT from City Girls. The story of JT presents some wild shit in hip-hop, an artist whose criminal conviction actually helped launch her to stardom instead of destroying her career. Jatavia Shakara Johnson became known for those bold sexual bars as part of City Girls, and as a solo artist dubbed City Cinderella, she's been charting high with her solo work. But before the fame, the chart success, and all them designer fits came a federal conviction that could have ended everything before it even started. JT got hemmed up in 2018 for aggravated identity theft and credit card fraud, basically running up stolen cards for unauthorized purchases. This wasn't no petty theft or a moment of poor judgment. It was part of a systematic approach to illegal financial gain that showed somebody who knew how to work the system.
I'm gonna get into you going to jail, like how was the experience and like how did it mentally affect you?
So when I was in jail, I did 15 months, and my first six months was very, very hard. I didn't really go outside that much. I didn't really want to talk to people that much. Because we had there was like a breakout moment, so a lot of people would be like, that is her, that is her.
The federal case against JT moved fast as hell. They sentenced her to 24 months in federal prison, but what makes her story unique is how she and Young Miami managed to flip this setback into a launching pad for unprecedented success. While JT was locked up, City Girls was building that fan base and creating music that would define a new era of female rap.
So it was like a big transition. You basically get in control every single day, like get up, go to sleep. And then, because of who I was, some guards felt like I got to, like, just used to be being mean. So it was just like a transition, basically.
The experience of doing time was particularly challenging for somebody so young. JT's description of how COs treated her because of her emerging celebrity status reveals the complex dynamics that happen when fame intersects with the prison system. The very recognition that should have been a source of pride became a target on her back. JT ended up serving 15 months before they released her to a halfway house in 2019. But by then, something remarkable had happened. Instead of her criminal record being a liability, it had become part of her authentic street credibility. City Girls music celebrated that hustle mentality. That had led to her legal troubles, and fans embraced her as someone who had paid her dues and earned her success the hard way. What makes JT's case particularly interesting is how it reflects broader changes in how hip-hop culture views criminal records. Unlike earlier generations of female rappers who tried to distance themselves from legal troubles, JT and her generation have embraced their criminal past as badges of authenticity. Her fraud conviction wasn't something to hide. It was proof that she understood the streets before she understood the boardroom. Recent headlines have shown JT navigating new drama, including her mother's first Europe trip situation and tensions within City Girls. Her public beef with Young Miami has created speculation about the future of the duo, showing how success can create new forms of conflict even after legal troubles are resolved. The conspiracy theories surrounding JT reveal how her success has attracted both admiration and suspicion. Some fans have pointed to Illuminati connections from her Beats campaign, while others continue to spread rumors about her prison experience and its impact on her relationship with Young Miami. While V Nasty's downfall mixed crime with cultural backlash, the next ones came from betrayal within her own crew. V Nasty. The story of V Nasty is one of the most polarizing in hip-hop history, combining serious criminal behavior with cultural controversy in ways that destroyed her career before it could truly pop off. As part of the white girl mob, V Nasty gained attention for her freestyle style influenced by Bay Area rap, but it was her 2010 convictions for multiple armed robberies and police chases that would define her legacy in the worst way possible. The criminal charges against V Nasty were serious and violent as fuck. Her robberies involved high-speed chases with police, showing a level of recklessness that went far beyond simple theft. These weren't crimes of desperation or momentary poor judgment. They were calculated acts of violence that put both victims and the public at risk. V Nasty got sentenced to 6 months in Alameda County Santa Rita Jail and served the full bid, but her legal troubles were compounded by a cultural controversy that proved even more damaging to her career than her criminal record. As a white rapper, her frequent use of the N-word created major backlash from both the hip-hop community and the general public. The intersection of her criminal behavior and racial controversy created a perfect storm that destroyed any chance V Nasty had of mainstream success. Her feuds with other artists, including Soulja Boy, often centered around both her criminal past and her controversial language choices. Her relationship with Krayshawn and the white girl mob also fell apart, leaving her isolated from the very community that had initially embraced her.
Yeah, I'm still on probation. Actually, I just got a better way to work things out with my PO. You know, the lawyer come smack the PO around, you know what I'm saying? The lawyer smacking the PO around right now, so I'm able to do what I want. But yeah, I had a whole tour supposed to go by myself, and I couldn't do it because of my probation officer.
The impact of probation on an artist's career cannot be overstated. V Nasty's description of how legal restrictions prevented her from touring shows how criminal convictions continue to limit opportunities long after the prison sentence is served. She had to work with lawyers to navigate probation restrictions that were weighing down her attempts to build a legitimate career.
Really?
All my cases are all robberies.
Really? So you have 2 felony strikes?
Yeah.
So one more and...
Well, I guess it's a new law in California that if you get 3 strikes that you are fighting life, but it has to be the same charges.
V Nasty's revelation about having 2 felony strikes under California's 3 strikes law added another layer of legal jeopardy to her situation. The knowledge that one more serious conviction could result in a life sentence should have been a wake-up call, but it also showed how past criminal behavior creates ongoing pressure and limitations that affect every aspect of an artist's life.
I mean, how much does that weigh on you, knowing that if I get another strike, my life is going to really be messed up?
It weighs in a lot, and it's actually a reason why I'm more like growing up and being more mature about myself and being like positive with my life now instead of just like thinking of how I'm gonna eat for that hour. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Instead of lifetime, I'm like achieving lifetime goals right now instead of trying to do something that have me in jail for the rest of my life.
This moment of self-reflection reveals the psychological weight that serious criminal convictions place on artists trying to rebuild their lives and careers. V Nasty's acknowledgement that she had to shift from short-term survival thinking to long-term planning shows a level of maturity that came at tremendous cost. The cultural controversy surrounding V Nasty's use of racial slurs overshadowed her criminal convictions in many ways, creating a two-front war that she couldn't win. While other artists on our list faced judgment primarily for their criminal behavior, V Nasty had to contend with both legal consequences and cultural exile from the hip-hop community. Recent years have seen minimal activity from V Nasty, with old controversies about her, the N-word usage resurfacing in online discussions. Her story serves as a cautionary tale about how criminal behavior combined with cultural insensitivity can create insurmountable obstacles to career success. V Nasty fell to felonies and backlash, and now Sexyy Red teeters on the same edge with brawls and weaponized fame. Sexyy Red. The story of Sexyy Red represents the newest entry on our list of female rappers whose legal troubles have created serious obstacles to their careers. Known for her brazenly sexual style and confident persona, Sexyy Red was the breakout artist of 2023, with hits like Pound Town and collaborations with Drake positioning her as one of hip-hop's rising stars. But in June 2024, her promising trajectory got interrupted by a violent incident at Newark Liberty International Airport that revealed some troubling patterns of aggressive behavior. Sexyy Red got arrested for disorderly conduct following a massive brawl at the airport. The incident involved her wielding a metal pole and injuring multiple people during the altercation, showing a level of violence that went far beyond a simple argument or misunderstanding. The airport incident was particularly serious because it occurred in a federal facility, potentially elevating what might have been a simple assault to federal charges. The use of a metal pole as a weapon transformed what might have been a misdemeanor into a much more serious matter, and the fact that multiple people were injured meant that prosecutors had several potential victims to work with. Sexyy Red was released shortly after her arrest, but the incident was captured on video and quickly went viral, creating a public relations nightmare that threatened to overshadow her musical accomplishments. The visual of a rising rap star wielding a metal pole in an airport brawl was exactly the kind of image that can destroy a career before it's fully established. But the airport incident was just the beginning of Sexyy Red's legal troubles. In 2024, she was named in a lawsuit for allegedly inciting violence against a child's grandmother, with allegations that she weaponized her fans in a family feud. These civil proceedings suggest a pattern of using her platform and influence to target individuals in ways that could result in real-world violence. The lawsuit allegations are particularly troubling because they suggest that Sexyy Red was willing to use her fame and fan base as weapons against private individuals. The concept of weaponizing fans represents a new form of harassment that social media has made possible, and the legal system is still catching up with how to address this type of behavior. Sexyy Red has also faced ongoing feuds with other artists and public figures, including responses to personal attacks about her hygiene and appearance. Her beef with Lord Jamar over body odor accusations shows how personal conflicts can escalate into public disputes that create additional legal and reputational risks. What makes Sexyy Red's story particularly concerning is how early these legal troubles have appeared in her career. Unlike other artists on our list who had years of success before their legal problems emerged, Sexyy Red's troubles began almost simultaneously with her rise to fame, suggesting that success itself might be triggering problematic behaviors rather than providing the stability to avoid them. The airport incident was resolved with fines and probation rather than prison time, but the precedent it established is troubling, particularly one as security sensitive as an airport suggests impulse control issues that could lead to much more serious problems in the future. Recent speculation has included conspiracy theories about Sexyy Red being a CIA agent or plant designed to promote degeneracy, though these remain unsubstantiated internet rumors rather than serious allegations. However, the existence of such theories shows how controversial her public persona has become. Sexyy Red's story is still being written, but the early signs are concerning. Her willingness to use violence in high-profile settings, combined with allegations of using her platform to target private individuals, suggests a pattern that could lead to much more serious legal consequences if left unchecked. Sexyy Red's fall began with brawls, Stunna Girls with FBI cases at 14. Stunna Girl. The story of Stunna Girl is perhaps the most disturbing on our list because it involves crimes committed when she was just a shorty. Yet the brutality and systematic nature of her offenses revealed a level of criminal sophistication that was way beyond her age. At just 13 years old, Stunna Girl got convicted of theft, fraud, money laundering, gun possession, and escape from custody. But the most shocking element involves allegations of what's been called the dog cage robbery. The dog cage robbery allegations suggest that Stunna Girl was involved in violent robberies where victims were allegedly repeatedly locked in cages during thefts. While juvenile records are typically sealed and many details remain unconfirmed, the allegations include kidnapping charges and violent confinement of victims, painting a picture of criminal behavior that goes far beyond typical juvenile delinquency.
I'm from Sacramento.
Certain part of Sacramento you represent?
Yeah, I'm from Oak Park to be exact, but I don't represent Oak Park.
Still living in Sacramento?
Yeah, I'm still currently living in Sacramento.
Stunna Girl's background reveals the kind of environment that can produce such extreme criminal behavior at such a young age. Growing up in Sacramento's Oak Park area, she was exposed to violence and criminal activity from an early age. But even by street standards, her alleged crimes were extraordinarily brutal.
Was it a rough upbringing?
Oh yeah, for surely. For surely. It was like a lot of just weird, I don't know. Ain't nothing I really just want to be talking about. Yeah.
What was your roughest moment growing up for you?
I would say my mom going to prison. You know, that was something big.
The family context provides crucial background for understanding how someone so young could become involved in such serious criminal activity. When Stunna Girl's mother was sentenced to 2 years in prison, it happened when Stunna Girl was about to turn 12, placing her in a vulnerable position during crucial developmental years.
I actually wasn't separated from my siblings. I got myself separated from my siblings.
Explain.
So I was like hitting 12, and my mom went to jail, so I thought like, oh, I can run the streets now, I can do whatever I want to do. So I'm going to functions, I'm partying, I'm doing all this stuff.
This candid description shows how family breakdown can lead to a cascading series of poor decisions. Stunna Girl's belief that her mother's incarceration gave her freedom to run the streets reveals a fundamental misunderstanding of the consequences that awaited her.
And it was like one night, you know, I'm at this function, I'm barely hitting 12, and I'm out there fighting. You feel me? Just fading. Police show up, boom, they blurp us, and they like, where's your parents? Like, what you out here doing? You're only 12, you know?
The progression from unsupervised partying to fighting to police involvement shows how quickly a child's life can spiral out of control without proper guidance and structure. Stunna Girl received her first mugshot at age 11, making her one of the youngest people featured in our series.
And the fighting led to a robbery. They let me out. Then they gave me a chance. They like, we're gonna put you in a group home, you know, out of state. We're gonna send you out of state. Remember, I got on that plane. That's 24 hours later, I was in Colorado and I was on my way back to SAC. So now I'm on the run.
The decision to escape from out-of-state placement demonstrates the kind of impulsive decision-making that would characterize much of Stunna Girl's early criminal career. The escape led to FBI involvement because authorities couldn't understand how a 14-year-old had managed to cross state lines, turning what began as juvenile misbehavior into a federal matter.
This time they stick the FBI on me because I'm only 14. They're like, how this little girl get across state lines, you know? So now I'm not knowing I got the FBI on me, so they're already watching what I'm doing. And so it was like, then I actually caught an actual real case. And then that gave me 3 years in CYA.
CYA, California Youth Authority, is essentially a youth prison for serious juvenile offenders, and Stunna Girl's description of her time there reveals just how brutal the juvenile justice system can be. She was housed with offenders up to age 25, and the facility was more violent than adult prison according to her account.
Put you with the boys?
No, they're not. They weren't supposed to be with the boys, but I was so out of control in the girl population, they had to remove me.
Why not just put you in like a solitary confinement and just keep you to yourself?
They tried that too. Then it was like, I was doing all kinds of, I was with the staff. I had nothing but time on my hands, so I felt like I'm gonna do whatever I want to here, you know?
The fact that Stunna Girl had to be removed from the female population and placed with male inmates reveals just how disruptive and violent her behavior had become. Her admission that she fought a male inmate to prove a point shows the level of aggression she maintained even while incarcerated. Stunna Girl served 3 years in CYA when she could have been released in much less time if she had followed the rules, demonstrating how institutional behavior can extend sentences significantly. Her case shows how some individuals seem determined to make their situations worse through continued defiance of authority, Since her release at 17, Stunna Girl has had additional encounters with law enforcement, including recent county jail stays, suggesting that her juvenile convictions were not a wake-up call, but rather the beginning of a pattern that has continued into adulthood. Recent headlines have connected Stunna Girl to ongoing feuds with other artists, including allegations that she set up robberies involving Anna Mac, showing how her criminal past continues to influence her present circumstances. Stunna Girl's brutal past sets a dark stage, but next up, Cardi B's wild story takes things to a whole new level. Cardi B. As the reigning queen of hip-hop and the highest certified female rapper, Cardi B seemed untouchable at the height of her success. But in 2018, her past caught up with her in the form of criminal charges that could have ended everything she had worked to achieve. The charges against Cardi B stem from a 2018 brawl at Angel Strip Club in Queens, where she allegedly ordered an attack on 2 bartenders over infidelity rumors involving her husband Offset. The incident involved throwing bottles and chairs, with both victims suffering injuries. What made this case particularly serious was that it wasn't some spontaneous fight prosecutor alleged it was a premeditated attack orchestrated by Cardi B herself. Initially, Cardi B got indicted on 14 different counts, including felony charges that could have resulted in significant prison time. The charges painted a picture of someone who had used her wealth and influence to orchestrate violence against women who had allegedly been involved with her husband. But Cardi B's case also revealed information about her pre-fame activities that added another layer of complexity to her legal troubles. She had previously admitted to drugging and robbing men when she worked as a stripper, though no charges were ever filed related to those admissions. These revelations showed a pattern of using violence and deception to solve problems, a pattern that had followed her from the strip club to the recording studio.
No puedo, cuando termine el caso sí puedo, pero cuando yo creo que no puede ser caso, quiero que lo pueda decir para primer impacto, no puedo hablar cuando termine el caso, puedo hablar con
Tú sabes que los latinos están contigo.
This clip shows Cardi B's disciplined approach to handling her legal troubles in the public eye. Her repeated refusal to discuss the case while it was ongoing demonstrates the kind of legal strategy that may have helped her avoid more serious consequences. Unlike other artists who have made their situations worse through public statements, Cardi B maintained strict silence during the critical period. The resolution of Cardi B's case shows how skilled legal representation and strategic decision-making can minimize the impact of serious criminal charges. In 2022, she pleaded guilty to third-degree assault and second-degree reckless endangerment, receiving 15 days of community service, 3 years of probation, and a protection order. What's remarkable about Cardi B's case is how little it affected her career trajectory. While other artists on our list saw their legal troubles destroy their commercial viability, Cardi B's brand seemed to actually benefit from the perception that she was someone who would fight for her relationship. The strip club brawl was reframed as evidence of her authenticity and loyalty rather than criminal behavior. However, Cardi B's legal troubles aren't entirely behind her. In 2025, she faces an ongoing civil trial over security guard assault claims from 2017, after a judge denied motions to dismiss the case. These civil proceedings show how legal troubles can continue to create problems years after criminal cases are resolved. The civil case involves allegations that go beyond the strip club incident, suggesting a pattern of behavior that extends further back in Cardi B's career. The security guard assault claims involve allegations of unwanted advances, adding another dimension to the legal challenges she has faced. What makes Cardi B's story particularly interesting is how it intersects with broader conspiracy theories and speculation. Some online theories have attempted to link her to various scandals through her associations with Jay-Z and Beyonce, though these remain unsubstantiated rumors rather than legal issues. Her ongoing feud with Nicki Minaj has also created additional drama, including a physical altercation at a Fashion Week event that resulted in Cardi B being escorted out with a visible injury. While no charges were filed in that incident, it shows how personal conflicts can create public relations challenges that intersect with legal vulnerabilities. Recent headlines have focused on Cardi B's divorce from Offset and her new music releases, showing how she has managed to move beyond her legal troubles to continue building her career. Her ability to maintain commercial success despite serious criminal charges sets her apart from most other artists on our list. While Cardi B managed to settle her battles mostly outside prison, the next story plunges into chaos fueled by unchecked rage and turmoil. Azealia Banks. No discussion of female rappers who destroyed their careers through legal troubles would be complete without examining Azealia Banks, an artist whose talent was so undeniable that her systematic self-destruction through repeated violent incidents represents one of hip-hop's greatest tragedies. Known for her fast flow, profanity-laden lyrics, and genre-blending approach that mixed rap, pop, and electronic music, Banks should have been a superstar. Instead, she became a cautionary tale about how unchecked mental health issues and violent behavior can destroy even the most promising careers. Banks' legal troubles troubles started early and established a pattern of violence that would define her public persona. In 2009, as a juvenile, she pleaded guilty to assaulting her sister with a box cutter, an incident so violent and shocking that it should have been a clear warning sign of the troubles to come. The case was resolved with youthful offender status, but the underlying issues that led to such extreme violence were never adequately addressed. The incident that would come to define Banks's legal legacy occurred in 2015 at a New York nightclub. She was arrested for biting a female security guard's breast during an altercation. The bizarreness of the crime, who the fuck bites someone's breast, made it instant tabloid fodder, but the underlying violence was deeply concerning. Banks was charged with misdemeanor assault for the biting incident, but her response to the legal proceedings showed a level of disrespect for the justice system that would ultimately work against her. She missed court dates, leading to a bench warrant being issued, and when she finally appeared in court, she was reamed out by the judge for her behavior.
What happened?
I showed up in the middle of like a really boozy party. I guess, you know, when men are making jokes, you're not supposed to, you know, add jokes and be funny. And, you know, there was a lot of trying to put me in my place.
While this clip is from a different incident involving Russell Crowe, it reveals Banks's pattern of behavior in confrontational situations. Her description of being put in her place shows how she interprets normal social dynamics as personal attacks, creating a mindset that often leads to explosive confrontations. In 2017, Banks finally reached a plea deal for the breast-biting case, receiving 1 year of probation, 52 weeks of anger management classes, and mental health treatment. The judge dismissed the case after she completed the requirements, but the damage to her reputation was irreversible. The Russell Crowe incident, while not resulting in criminal charges, further illustrated Banks's pattern of creating controversy through confrontational behavior.
Okay, so you're saying that Mr. Crowe hurled racial slurs against you and choked you and spit on you.
Yeah, and everyone will be like, oh, well, she uses the N-word. It's like, I rap with the N-word. I'm a rapper. I use the N-word colloquially all the time. That's a poor excuse.
But you came as a guest of RZA, former member of Wu-Tang. You know, he is a black man. You saying that Russell hurled these accusations, hurled these slurs at you, but wouldn't have RZA stood up?
No, because RZA doesn't have that much clout. He doesn't have that much clout.
Banks's description of RZA failing to defend her reveals her sense of isolation and abandonment by the hip-hop community. Her claim that RZA stood there like a chump when she was allegedly assaulted shows how these incidents damaged her relationships within the industry. What makes Banks's story particularly tragic is how her mental health struggles became intertwined with her legal troubles. The court-ordered mental health treatment was clearly needed, but by the time it was mandated, the damage to her career was already extensive. Her pattern of violent outbursts had made her essentially unworkable in an industry that depends on collaboration and professional relationships. Banks' legal troubles extended beyond these high-profile incidents. In 2016, she was arrested for allegedly punching a bouncer, showing that her violent behavior was not limited to isolated incidents but represented a consistent pattern of using physical force to resolve conflicts. The broader context of Banks's behavior includes numerous public feuds and controversies that, while not resulting in criminal charges, have contributed to her reputation as someone who is impossible to work with. She has had public feuds with virtually every major figure in hip-hop and pop music, from Nicki Minaj to Iggy Azalea to T.I. to Erykah Badu to Zayn Malik to Beyonce to Lana Del Rey to Elon Musk. Recent headlines have shown Banks continuing her pattern of controversial behavior, including conspiracy theories about Blue Origin, declarations of Zionist support, and various other inflammatory statements that keep her in the news for all the wrong reasons. Her social media presence has become a constant source of controversy that overshadows any musical accomplishments. What makes Banks' story particularly heartbreaking is the glimpses of brilliance that shine through her destructive behavior. Her debut single, 212 Inches, was genuinely iconic, showcasing her unique ability to blend genres and create something entirely new. Critics consistently praised her musical innovation, but her inability to control her worst impulses made it impossible for her to build on that foundation. The mental health component of Banks' story cannot be ignored. Her court-ordered anger management and mental health treatment suggest underlying issues that were never adequately addressed before they destroyed her career. Her case represents a tragedy of untreated mental illness intersecting with the pressures of fame and the competitive nature of the music industry. Banks' story also highlights how social media can amplify and perpetuate destructive behavior patterns. Her constant feuding and controversial statements on platforms like Twitter have kept her in a state of perpetual conflict, making it impossible for her to step back, reflect, and rebuild her career on more solid ground. The ultimate tragedy of Azealia Banks is that she possessed genuine talent and innovation that could have made her one of the most most important artists of her generation. Instead, her inability to control her violent impulses and maintain professional relationships turned her into a tale about how mental health issues and unchecked aggression can destroy even the most promising careers. While Banks' self-destruction unraveled her promising career, next up is a very different kind of downfall, one built on fraud and broken trust. Big Freedia. The story of Big Freedia represents a different type of legal downfall than the violent crimes that characterize most of our stories. As the self-proclaimed Queen of Bounce and a gender non-conforming pioneer who popularized bounce music nationally, Freedia had built a successful career that included features with Beyonce and Drake, plus her own reality show. But in 2016, her world came crashing down due to a fraud scheme that was as basic as it was devastating. Big Freedia got charged with theft of government funds for fraudulently receiving $34,000 in Section 8 housing vouchers while earning significant income from her music and television career. The charges revealed a level of financial deception that seemed particularly fucked up given her public success and the resources that success should have provided. The fraud involved lying about her income to continue receiving housing assistance that was designed for low-income individuals. While $34,000 might seem like chump change compared to the millions involved in other fraud cases, the violation of public trust made this case particularly serious from a federal perspective. In 2016, Big Freedia pleaded guilty to the federal charges, but what made the court appearance particularly tone-deaf was that she arrived with a reality TV crew in tow, suggesting she didn't understand the seriousness of federal criminal proceedings. The sentence was 3 years of probation, 100 hours of community service, and an order to pay $35,000 in restitution. While she avoided prison time, the reputational damage was significant, particularly given that her fraud involved deceiving government programs designed to help people in exactly the kind of economic circumstances she had experienced earlier in her career. What makes Big Freedia's case particularly interesting is how it highlights the complexities of success in the music industry. The housing fraud occurred during a period when she was earning significant income but may not have had the financial literacy or management systems in place to handle that transition responsibly. The case also raises questions about the intersection of authenticity and economic success in hip-hop culture. Big Freedia had built her brand around being a voice for marginalized communities, particularly LGBTQ+ individuals and low-income residents of New Orleans. The revelation that she was defrauding government assistance programs while earning substantial income from her career created a credibility crisis that extended beyond the legal consequences. Recent years have seen Big Freedia attempt to rebuild her reputation through community work and new music projects, but the federal fraud conviction remains a permanent part of her record. Her 2025 gospel album, Pressing Onward, represents an attempt to move beyond her legal troubles, but the shadow of the housing fraud continues to follow her. The Big Freedia case also highlights ongoing issues with credit and recognition in the music industry. She has had disputes with major artists like Beyonce and Drake over proper crediting for her contributions to their tracks, suggesting that financial pressures from inadequate compensation may have contributed to her decision to continue fraudulent housing assistance claims. What's particularly troubling about Big Freedia's story is how it represents a betrayal of the very communities she claimed to represent. Section 8, housing assistance, is designed to help people who are genuinely struggling financially, and her abuse of the system took resources away from people who actually needed them. Last but not least, we have a rapper who went from chart-topping hits to battling legal and financial hardships. Jackie O. The story of Jackie O represents a particularly sad chapter in our examination of female rappers whose legal troubles destroyed their careers. Once known for her bawdy sex rap and her position as a contributor to the Miami hip-hop scene, Angela Cone had built a respectable career with hits like Nookie and several successful mixtapes. But by 2024, her story had devolved from chart success to tabloid headlines about shoplifting arrests that revealed the devastating financial struggles hiding behind her public persona. In November 2024, Jackie O got arrested for shoplifting along with a friend, an incident that might seem minor compared to the violent crimes and major fraud schemes that characterize other stories on our list. But the context of this arrest occurring amid bankruptcy filings and financial troubles revealed a tragic decline from hip-hop's success to economic desperation. The shoplifting arrest was particularly devastating because it represented such a fall from grace. Here was an artist who had once been mentioned alongside major female rappers, who had commanded respect in the Miami hip-hop scene, now reduced to stealing merchandise like a common criminal. The incident was classified as a misdemeanor, likely resulting in probation or a short jail stint, but the reputational damage was immense.
What's up? What's going on? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Music Matrix. Sitting here with my girl, Jackie O, Tampa Bay area. let everybody know what you're doing in the Tampa Bay area.
This from Better Times shows Jackie O during a period when she was still actively pursuing her music career, working with producers and trying to maintain her relevance in the industry. The contrast between this professional setting and her subsequent legal troubles illustrates how quickly an artist's circumstances can change.
Sex music, a lot of people had that misconception about me when they heard Nookie. Nookie is kind of a blessing and it's kind of a curse in the same, same realm, because when people first heard Nookie, they thought, okay, that's all she could do.
Jackie O's reflection on being typecast reveals one of the fundamental challenges facing female rappers: the difficulty of expanding beyond initial success and the way early hits can become creative prisons. Her acknowledgement that Nicki was both a blessing and a curse shows an artist aware of her limitations but struggling to transcend them. The financial struggles that led to Jackie O's shoplifting arrest didn't develop overnight. Her transition from sex rap to Christian hip-hop represented an attempt to reinvent herself and reach new audiences. But this career pivot apparently failed to generate the income necessary to maintain her lifestyle or meet her financial obligations.
Beef is gonna be here, like, especially when when you trying to do your thing and somebody that ain't trying to do their thing, or even if they are trying to do their thing, they feel threatened. It's gonna be beef. So to answer your question, I've left it behind because I'm on a whole nother pattern. Like I'm on something else right now. Like, so to entertain that would take me off of what I'm trying to do. But I mean, I know I'm gonna have beef.
Jackie O's mature approach to handling beef and controversy shows an artist who had learned to prioritize her career over drama. Her statement about being on something else and not wanting to be distracted by feuds reveals someone trying to focus on rebuilding her career, making her subsequent arrest all the more tragic. The shoplifting incident also highlighted Jackie O's previous feuds and controversies, including her physical altercation with Foxy Brown in a recording studio and her ongoing tensions with other female rappers. These past conflicts had damaged her reputation and limited her career opportunities, contributing to the financial pressures that may have led to her criminal behavior. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.